are so thrilled today. We have with us the board president of A Touch of Understanding, Mike Wilson. And we are just so glad that you took some time out to be with us today. And it's our pleasure to have you join us on one of our carpool conversations.
Well, it's absolutely my pleasure as well. I mean, I've just learned now that this is almost a year of doing these episodes, and I can't thank you and Nolan enough for taking the time to do these. This is a great way to get to people and let them know about A Touch of Understanding.
Well, it has certainly helped, and we have quite a few fans out there that watch these on a weekly basis. So I understand that you've been with A Touch of Understanding since 1997?
1997. Well, that was the year I was Rotary Club president with the Granite Bay Rotary Club, 96, 97. And I got a chance to meet all the speakers afterwards. And Leslie and Ed came and talked to our club and gave an overview, presentation about A Touch of Understanding. And at that time, I learned that the board was made up of all ladies. They were all educators. That's how Leslie started. She started in a school, and most of the people that knew about her program were educators. So we got to talking after the meeting, and she said, hey, would you be interested in coming to a board meeting, seeing a presentation? And I said, of course. There's a backstory to it that probably would take too long to do that, but because I had met Leslie previously, serendipitously, can't even pronounce that word. But anyway, I said yes. So I went and saw, at that time they were called workshops.
Okay.
And I saw the workshop, and of course I was hooked. Who couldn't be? You see a program like that is so powerful. Then Leslie said, well, we're looking for board members. Would you be interested in being on the board? And of course I said yes. And I didn't know this would be a 20 plus year association, but I'm so glad it is. So we got a chance to, I get a chance to see the program start from the beginning.
Wow. And so you've been to workshops, you've participated in the dark meal, and you've seen the growth, because in the beginning, wasn't it just Leslie and Ed and some volunteers? There was no staff?
There was no staff. It was Leslie and Ed. She was the chief cook and bottle washer, and she ran the show. There were just a handful of volunteers at that time. There was no staff. There was no office. In fact, the office was a bedroom in Leslie's house.
And you would have board meetings, you said, around?
We would have a board meeting around a kitchen table. We would go to restaurants. I can remember pizza parlors, various different restaurants, coffee houses, and having our board meetings. And at that time, our board meetings were pretty unofficial. They were, we didn't have a lot to talk about. It was fundraising, and fundraising has always been the key to A Touch of Understanding.
Sure.
And so what we did is we took on what we called a series of leaps of faith. We finally grew to the point where we outgrew Leslie's house. And I know that her husband, Rich, was really happy about that because it was overflowing. So we acquired a spot, and we said, how are we going to pay for this?
Mm-hmm.
And that's our first leap of faith.
Wow.
And then we said, well, we also need staff. And I can't remember, the staff might have come first before the office. But anyway, these were what we called leaps of faith, because we didn't really have the budget to support it.
Absolutely.
But we said, we're going to find a way.
Yep.
And we did. We either, did better on fundraising, or we did better on meeting more volunteers. But we got there.
Truly a grassroots organization.
Absolutely. I can't think of an organization that is more grassroots than A Touch of Understanding.
Oh, indeed. And so what keeps you involved with ATOU?
It's the mission.
Okay.
I was hooked from the first, I still call it a workshop. I was hooked from the first workshop, and I haven't looked back since. It's just been one of those organizations where I see a need. And the need is greater now than it was even then. And it's also been a real privilege and just an honor to be associated with A Touch of Understanding and to be associated with the board. And right now, we have probably the best board we have ever had. The people are committed. And it's not to say that the boards previously weren't. It's just that we mesh. It's just been it's been a really good working board, and we've gotten a lot of amazing things done during the tenure of this particular board.
Right.
You know, I just want to tell you about every board meeting. We start with what we call a success story,
Okay.
and there are so many that it's hard to cull through.
Right.
And some of those are really real tearjerkers. They're just, this is why we're here.
Right. And you're right. It's hard to compete sometimes
Right.
with some of those other entities, you know, that do bring in quite a bit of money that might
Right.
have a bigger name. And that's why it's so important to have people come to the workshops. There's many times that I'll invite community partners and people that are considering to adopt a school, philanthropists or business owners or any community partner at all, and then have them actually come.
Right.
And that usually is the turning point, or a tipping point. If there was ever a doubt in their mind that this is something worthy of funding or supporting in some fashion,
Right.
then that usually does it right there.
Well, I call it the aha moment.
Yes.
I think it's, I've had two for the Touch of Understanding. The first was my first workshop presentation. Sorry, Leslie and staff. I'm always going to call it a workshop. That was my first aha moment when I saw the look on the kids' faces. I actually saw, the look on the teachers' faces as well,
Right.
where I saw minds were changed immediately after the program. The second was I participated in a dark meal that Darlene O'Brien had chaired, and again, that was another aha moment where after taking that blindfold off, I thought I knew what blindness was, but going through a meal and listening to Darlene talk about, her challenges as being a blind person, and then physically seeing that through the dark meal, that was another moment where, wow. So now I understand the impact of the dark meals, and I'm a huge proponent. I think once you either go to a workshop or a dark meal, and if possible, do both.
Right. And even now go to the Evening of Insight.
Exactly.
Because we're going to be doing that next year.
Well, Roxanne, you did an unbelievable job on that, and I think we're going to come to the point where this particular program that people are going to have to get in earlier, they're not going to get in.
we think we're going to be selling out sooner. Yes.
I think you are.
Absolutely.
I think word of mouth on that.
Yeah.
It was so powerful that people have gotten in early to get their tickets.
I've already run into people that actually participated and said they want to come again, and that they have other people they want to bring, or they ran into people and said, "We're so sorry we didn't make it. We really want to be there. We're going to be there next year." So I don't think that's going to be difficult to sell out. So now, have you ever heard any of Nolan's jokes?
I have not, as a matter of fact.
Seriously?
He's very quiet inside the office when I come in. So I'm sure it's a different feeling.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we have the pleasure of introducing his jokes at every one of our carpool conversations, so our guests get an opportunity to laugh a little bit. So, Nolan, you have a joke for Mike this morning?
Yes, I do. Why couldn't the boy ride his bike?
Why?
It was too tired.
Dun-dun-dun.
Yes.
Yes.
And we've also started a new campaign. It's called the Paperclip campaign.
Yes.
So that starts with a trade, and it started out with Nolan gave a paperclip actually to Leslie, and she gave him a Sharpie, and then it went from a Sharpie to a flower pen, and it's kind of been, growing each week. So with our guest last week, what we have for you today to do with the trade, we had the pleasure of having Jill Mason with us, and so her autographed books, so her own book plus the book of Voices of a Dream for ATOU, both of which can be purchased on Amazon, by the way. But you have an autographed copy of both of those, so that's pretty special.
Well, knowing Jill and knowing what she's done and what she's meant to A Touch of Understanding, this is a very special gift for me. She's an amazing person, and I could go through many videos talking about her alone.
Well, we'll have to have you back. So, but you probably have something you want to trade and give to Nolan.
I do.
Yeah.
And knowing Nolan spends so much time in the office, and he probably needs a little bit of caffeine to keep him going at times, I got a $25 gift certificate from Pete's Coffee for Nolan.
Ooh,
Awesome.
Awesome. That is amazing. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today,
You're welcome.
Mike.
It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you for your 20 years of service, 20 plus years of service, and everything that you have done to help make ATOU as awesome as it is today.
Thanks, Roxanne. It's been my pleasure as well, and thanks to you for putting these together. This has just been a great
It's
morning.
a team effort, so
Definitely.
and we enjoy doing it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.